Space Commander.
Space Commander. Welcome to Incoming Transmission, the only show where you're going to get two special intros for Space Commander specifically. I don't even have a special intro for myself. Oh, you know what we're going to do today, Space Commander? We are going to have a cracking good time because we have a special guest today called Kraken Kreations. You can call him Matt if you like, but I'll probably forget to do that, and I'll just keep calling him Kraken. Now, I got the pronunciation wrong because I've been calling it Kraken this whole time, but I was expertly corrected, and it's Kraken, which I still don't think I'm saying right.
Well, if this is anything to go by, if that's anything to go by, it's Kraken.
Kraken. Okay. Well,
yeah.
I figured because we've got such a wonderful guest with us today, a magnificent guest, in fact, that I thought that maybe they should also have their own magnificent intro. So I've borrowed some animation from our good friend Magnificent Kaboom. So I'll play that intro, and then when we come back from that, we're going to have Matt from Kraken Kreations. So here we go. Oh, whoops. I forgot about that last wrestling tag at the end there. Hello, Matt. How are you, buddy?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Oh, very good. Please don't think that we're going to wrestle you in the ring. That was a little gag, little goof. We want to say happy birthday to David. Thanks for sending the super sticker. I said happy birthday in the chat, and then Johnny said thanks. So I wonder if it's also Johnny's birthday.
Happy birthday, troops.
Happy birthday, David. He's turned 40, the big 40. So thanks for the super sticker, David. I appreciate it. You don't have to send us a sticker on your birthday, though. It was his birthday yesterday, I believe. 40. Can you believe 40? How many of us are over 40 now? Or is it just me? All right, yeah. Say no more. Say no more. So we'll get into it in just a moment. But let's say hello to the chat real quick because we've got so many people here already. So we'll say hello to Johnny, who we had on very recently. He had some chipmunk stuff happening in the background with his microphone, which I thought he was doing on purpose, but it turns out, no, it wasn't. We got Classified, Chat Champion Classified, saying Spacey, Spacey, Spacey. If she's feeling so inclined, if she wouldn't mind putting in the links for Kraken Kreations, which I've got in the description, but also if you could throw the link to Magnificent Kaboom, just because we used his awesome animation on that one. TJC, how are you, buddy? Another Englishman in the house. Good to see you. The RetroTinker, g'day everyone. Another Aussie. I just watched a hilarious video from the RetroTinker today. Definitely go back and check that out after the show. Oh, beauty stuff. Made me laugh. He's a funny man. Gazz, thumb kiss. That's for you. Don't spend it all at once. Phil, what's cracking, everyone? We're going to get a few of those today, I reckon. And then we've got Keep On Collecting is here. That's the father-son duo that do expert stuff. They did a really good review on the Whiplash, Chow. Don't panic. All the way from the Peppermint Oil Capsule. EdFive standing by. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Jewel Who 1 through 8, but if you're not, don't worry about it. You don't need to know because we've got the best of the bunch in Jewel Who 9. Good evening, sir, to Eldor. How are you, buddy? And have I caught up with everybody? I don't think we know anyone else. Rolando, how are you, bud? Good to see you. Rolando, he came and he watched us. Who else we got? Anyone else? I stopped singing because it was too good. We got Murtaugh. Is that like from Murtaugh? Is that from Lethal Weapon?
That is
that it?
Martin. It's one of the names that I recognise when I saw on there. So, hello, Martin.
Oh, hello, Martin. Thanks for joining us, buddy. There's definitely a new face around these parts. Will from Wilhelm Toys and Hobbies is here too. How are you, bud? And okay, now we're caught up. Hello to you too. So, Matt, for those of us that don't know, what is Kraken Kreations? Who are you? Who?
I long-time collector of Action Force, really, I suppose, and been collecting since I was at university, so 25 years. Back when things were an awful lot cheaper than they are now. Unfortunately, fortunately, whichever way you look at it.
Yeah.
And I think along with a few people, that have disappeared along the way, but are still around in the community, we all kind of used to hang out on Blood to the Baron, which was a forum on the website, which I first knew Space Commander from. And Mirto as well, obviously. Mirto's there as well. So, and maybe some other people. And then we gradually migrated to Facebook. And I think in the Blood for the Baron days and the Facebook days, there was a few of us on the group who used to customize, make characters we'd not seen before, see things and think that would look good in red or green or black or whatever it would be. And we'd paint stuff and show it off, I guess, and encourage each other and share ideas and tips and things like that. And then kind of I've continued along that path. And then when 3D printing first started to be talked about in the mainstream, that's when I started to get quite excited by stuff. And I got one fairly early on, and I kind of kept upgrading since then. And it's just brought a whole new dimension to collecting and customizing. So yeah, that's me. I collect, paint, and print.
Well, when we first started doing incoming transmissions, one of the first things that Space Commander said about this show was that we need to get Matt on from Kraken Kreations. That was a constant that's been happening, and so I feel for I feel like I know you through Space Commander, the way that he's been talking about you and what you do. I've also seen some of the stuff that you presented at the recent Action Force or Action Man exhibition.
There was some stuff in Colville. Yeah, that was good.
Right. Yeah. So and some of that stuff will be shown here because I remember as you sent through a bunch of pictures, and some of this stuff I remember seeing from photos I saw of that exhibition. So if you don't mind, Matt, I'm going to solo lay out you for a moment, not only so the ladies can get a good look, but also so that we can take a look at the excellent stuff in the background there.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it is a bit of a mess. I've been redesigning and relaying out for about 2.5 years. So everything is a little bit up in the air. The shelves are all sorted. Everything is where it needs to be vaguely, but I need to sort the shelves out and make them much, much nicer. But if I move out of the way a little bit, it'll show off.
Oh, yeah, that looks cool.
At least.
Nice. What is that? You got some sort of mechanized Kraken... am I saying that correctly, or?
Is that the Pretender shell?
It is. Yes, it was the Pretender shell from a Rollout Roll Call, which
nice.
in the UK is an awesome convention every November. I'd recommend, if you can, go along. It's brilliant.
Yeah, looks great. Looks better than our backgrounds in comparison are nowhere near as fun to look at. But you got a holy smokes from Phil there. Hello there from Blue Harvest Toys. Blue Harvest Toys has an excellent video then going through the factory. So check it out. If you didn't check it out last time, bloody go check it out. It's good stuff. And Blue Harvest Toys is a great channel too. So do check that out. Classified is throwing in the Instagram links already. But the links to everything about Kraken Kreations, so you don't have to go hunting for it, is all in the description of this video. So yeah, check it out. Check it out. Give it a like and follow it because it's good stuff. So before we go on to your photos, Matt, and I do realize that I do ramble quite a bit, but tell us, what is your fascination with this guy? Or sorry, what is your fascination with these guys? Actually, sorry, what is your fascination with these guys?
How about this guy?
Yeah, that guy. What's the fascination?
Mine are over there. I'm struggling to grab one. When I first started collecting, I think especially on the Blood for the Baron forums, there were, apart from a few people, I don't think he got the love he deserves. He was kind of very unusual. Maybe the Muton would have been a little bit similar in a futuristic sense, but it was a robot, so it was kind of, I think, got away with it a bit, although they looked a little bit iffy, maybe a little bit too deep sea divery, maybe.
Right.
But Kraken, I think, was just totally out there. But I just really love it. And The Kraken Wakes by John Wyndham is one of my favorite books. And I just think he looks a little bit goofy, a little bit menacing, particularly in the comic, but in the story, in the tape that Space Commander held up earlier on, I think that's an awesome story to listen to.
I'll solo you for a second, Space Commander, so we can get a good look at that cassette tape. Cassette tapes, boys and girls, don't worry about it. It's irrelevant. Nice.
In case the kids
One
have
day,
never seen, this is what they look like on the inside.
Is that a transformer?
So it's clever how they designed and made these things to resemble a Transformer character.
Right? We'll have to do a listen along one day, Space Commander.
Yeah, we could. I don't know. Would we get in trouble for doing that? I don't know.
Who cares?
The story's on YouTube. There's lots of channels with it up, so I think I don't think there's any issues with that side of it. If that's what you want to do.
I'm happy to get a what is it? Unmonetized video for the sake of entertainment, Space Commander. We're not making dollars on this channel.
Having a good time.
That's right. Oh yeah, that's available to listen to on YouTube. Okay. You got two cassettes.
There's three. I know that when the sort of Hasbro G.I. Joe sort of takeover of Action Force happened, there were some books and cassettes that you could get little sets of. But for the sort of continuity based on the original Action Force, you got Baron's Revenge, which was the first one. Then, while it was still Palitoy, but sort of going into Hasbro, they also brought out Operation Liberty and Operation Shutdown.
Why are you doing a show and tell? Let me for the ladies.
But then after that, it was like full blown G.I. Joe, and that was the last of those types of cassettes.
Do the other ones have pictures on them too, or just the first?
No,
one?
No. This one came with the inlay card and everything, but these ones, I think these ones were to do with, I think they were from the fan club or something like that. So it was just the bare cassette.
Yep.
So I had to donate a couple of cases there. Actually, it'd be cool if someone could, some of our artistic friends, someone could make up a cover for them. That would be really cool.
There you go. That's anyone in the chat that wants to partake in a little competition. Let's have people who want to contribute come up with a couple of. Let's put Space Commander back on solo. We need someone to come up with 2 cassette tape covers. One is for.
We've got Operation Liberty and Operation Shutdown.
Yep.
So here's your inspiration. That's the original, Baron's Revenge. And then it's even got the Action Man logo there up above the Action Force. But then we have Operation Liberty and Operation Shutdown. And when I mentioned these before to you, Zazel, I pointed out how the tone shifts just sweepingly so. You say it was quite a serious Baron's Revenge. And then by the time you get to Operation Shutdown, you've got things from space crashing on the Earth and people running down the street, kind of almost laughing about it. Run for your lives!
Oh gosh. Well, we got a competition going. Hit me up on Instagram if you guys want to partake, and because it's a competition, there will be a prize. I will figure out a prize for you for the winner, whichever one we pick. So yeah, but I guess because there's 2, we're gonna have 2 prizes because we might pick one from one and one from another. we might not get anyone even participate, and then I just keep the prize. All right, but we do have a prize of sorts for the people that are watching today, because we're going to go through some bloody awesome pictures from Matt. So what I wanted to start with first, Matt, is go through some of the ones that you took outside, because I think those are pretty cool, and then we'll go back to some of your studio pictures. So we'll start off with this cool shot.
So that is simply a standard SAS kayak, but it's got one of my jointed custom SAS guys in there. I know it's not actually a simple SAS kayak. It had to repaint one of the brown ones from Series 3. Otherwise, the jointed guys don't quite fit in there because they made it a little bit wider so Recondo could slide in. And I think that's when I got swan poo all down my top, laying on a decent picture at a low enough angle.
You get dirty for your craft, right?
Yeah.
So I've only been kayaking a couple of times, and the rule with kayaking is that if you expect not to get wet, then you're not going kayaking. So the really good shot, that's a great shot, but this next shot was actually one that caught my eyes as possibly my favorite picture. Swampy place, yes it is. That's a sweet shot. Yeah, it is. That's a great shot. Yeah, it is. Retro's leaving us already. Unfortunately, I couldn't stay long, but I'll be sure to check out the rest tomorrow. Good night, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, buddy.
That's what I said.
You see, it's the hat. It allows for telepathic communication.
I'm a cadet now, Matt, in case you couldn't tell. All right, so the next one, which is my favorite one, I might say that a few times tonight, actually, but my first favorite one, look at this.
That is the same thing, different holiday. Every holiday, I like to pack a few things in the case, whatever I can get away with. Anyone from the UK will be perhaps familiar with the name or the place Skegness. So that was Skegness Beach. A nice place, lovely place, a little bit. Skeg Vegas is the other name for it. So yeah, again,
okay.
laying down, getting a bit wet on the beach.
Oh yeah. What kind of camera do you use?
It's a Canon EOS 250D or a Rebel, I think it is. Yeah.
Well, you do very well with it.
Thank you.
This is another cool shot. This is you can sense the dread in that soldier.
Again, kind of another one of my. I kind of like the idea where Action Force transitioned from the 5 points of articulation in Series 1 and 2 to the jointed stuff in Series 3. I kind of like the idea of customs that almost imagine if the design team had been kept on but allowed the Hasbro mold what they might have done. Obviously, they might have done something completely different and come up with great new ideas and separate ideas and things like that. But kind of like the idea of the more jointed, articulated, original guys, I guess.
Bendy figures.
Bendy figures. Yeah, that's what we call them around these parts. So how easy or difficult is it to incorporate the 5 POA stuff with the bendy figures? Because you look like you've done a seamless job there. In fact, if you told me that was an official Action Force G.I. Joe release, I'd have believed it. And there's a bunch of pictures in here where I'm like, I can't tell what's real and what's not real. Pericles, he stretches and yawns. He's in here. Welcome.
Yeah, it's the heads tend to fit nicely on the swivel neck bodies. It's when you kind of use the ones that go tilt up and down and swivel left to right as well, which causes a few issues. Although they look a little bit small next to some of the later Hasbro stuff, the original Palatoy heads tend to fit, I think, look a bit quite realistic on there. So it's just a case of that and picking up some of the parts. So luckily, because I've been collecting so long, I've got quite a big part bin that is diminishing now and things are getting expensive. So yeah, just playing around, putting bits together, seeing what works.
So is that a G.I. Joe torso or is that an Action Force torso?
No, that is an original SAS head with I think it's a ripcord torso with some probably Cobra Trooper arms. I can't quite see it from here, sorry. Cobra Trooper crotch, which is one of my favorites for customs, and probably Footloose legs, which again is another one of my favorites.
Oh yeah,
they look quite cool.
So Chat Champion Classified has thrown in your YouTube channel at the Kraken Wakes 1984. The good thing about hitting that link right now is that you can subscribe to the Kraken Wakes right now and you won't miss any of this show. We've already tested and tried it and we found it to be true.
Thank you.
Except for that one occasion where it wasn't true, but I found out why and then we didn't do that again. Anyway, moving on. Thanks, Chat Champion Classified. Sub, you got a couple of new subs there for you.
Thank you for the subs. I think Blue Harvest Toys, I think we met at the Action Force thing in Colbert, if I remember correctly. Thank you.
Yeah, that was a good show. So we'll move on to the next photo. This is a great shot, but what are we looking at here?
This is kind of an extension, Special Weapons Force. I don't know if you've heard of it. Sorry if you have. I'm telling you stuff you already know.
I know very little about Action Force. You would even if I've heard it once or twice before, it takes 3 or 4 times for anything to sink in with me.
It was an unreleased team. I guess when they were looking at transition from Series 1 to 2, they were looking at what teams to produce, and Special Weapons Force was one of those. And I think there was a mystery figure floating around on the US forums for so long where there was a Flash figure in greys, with some low highlights. And I think it was Dave Tree who finally kind of figured things out on a visit to the V&A Museum in London and found not only the Flash figure, who was a Bombardier, part of the Special Weapons Force, but some of the 5 POA figures as well, like Boffin, Fixer, Lightning, Sniper. So again, this was back in my BFTB days, a local lake near me where I took it to take the pic. It's just kind of an extension of that, whereas instead of just doing the figures, just playing around and kind of imagining fleshing it out as if the team got a full release, maybe kind of my idea of what it would be anyway. But yeah, I like a Z-Force ATC with kind of more of an observation bubble on there, as if they can peek out and have a look at, see what's going on with their latest inventions, really, I suppose.
Do a bit of stargazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that dome really looks great there. And I would say arguably, Rob Vegas is saying Space Commander's Ride. Not quite. Land vehicle, yeah. But I would say arguably a dome on there looks cooler than the machine gun that was on there before. I think it looks good. I like it.
Thank you.
But we also get this little buddy.
Again, kind of just a bit of an extension. The 2 guys on the left and right are my ARAH style custom figures of Fixer and Lightning or Sniper. Sorry, I can't remember which ones they are. But my goes at them in that kind of style. Just fleshing it out a little bit with a bit of a crossover with Scrap Iron's turret on a dart body. I think works quite well. Sorry,
I think so too.
Sounds big-headed, sorry, but I think it looks quite cool. Sorry, the idea anyway.
Nothing wrong with being proud of your work, mate.
Thank you.
Absolutely. If you unfocus your eyes just a little bit, this is almost like a real MOD photograph.
Yeah. This is how they did the moon landing.
Everybody knows the first man on the moon was yours truly.
That's right. You left a burrito up there. All right, who's this fella?
This is Boffin, who is a leader of Special Weapons Force. I think maybe, I don't know, we didn't really get it fleshed out so much. But yeah, he was one of the ones, again, that was found in the V&A by Dave Tree, who is an awesome guy in the Action Force community. He's a lovely man. Again, my kind of ARAH style custom of the guy. I really kind of the brains behind the team in terms of the inventions that go on then into the other teams, which kind of some of my guess at the stuff.
It's interesting with the Bob. I was just coming at that with the Special Weapons Force. When Dave Tree made these fantastic discoveries and was finally able to put the pieces together and figure out what and who these unknown characters were, on the Blood for the Baron forums, There was a few of us working on a sort of a creative project. I don't want to spill too much because it might have something to do with the special project, which we'll come to eventually.
One day.
But we once we had sort of identified, or David identified Bombardier, which was the Flash type character, and this guy here is Boffin. We sort of, as if they had their own file card, we sort of chose Dave Tree as being the name for Bombardier, and this gentleman here was going to be Bob Breakin.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
I think there's a little bit of a crossover because when I speaking to Bob, he had a girlfriend at the time. I think it was a girlfriend at the time. He was saying he used to call him Boff or Buff or something. So I think there was a little bit of a crossover there. I don't know whether that was him putting that into the character, I guess, in terms of the name.
Speaking of names, here's a new one I've not seen on the channel before. Olwen Fisher. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
She's Mrs. Kraken. She's downstairs in the living room watching that.
Ah. Was I saying the name correctly?
Yes, you were. Thank you. Thank you.
So I like the mini blueprints on this too. Very cool.
Thank you.
And then we've got this. I really dig. If I can try and figure out the parts and tell me when I've hit wrong, but I think that's a Ken from Street Fighter head.
Yep.
The feet and legs are from Quick Kick.
Yes.
The torso, I almost was going to say Heavy Duty, but I know that there was also another character that had a vest similar to that was a green vest, but I can't remember that character's name.
I think is it the MCC driver? I'm showing my lack of knowledge and forgetfulness on some of the Hasbro stuff now, but I think, is it the MCC driver?
Was that Mad Dog or Red Dog? No. Something.
Sorry, I found it.
Anyway, this guy looks great.
Thank you. He's
who is he?
Yeah, he's one that I took from the comics. So Blood for the Baron. The comics are available on Blood for the Baron. The Battle Action Force comics in the UK, which were kind of old school style newsprint magazines, which I think you got in Australia as well.
Yeah.
There were lots of characters in there that didn't, that they came up with on their own, that didn't get toys, that were just their inventions for the stories. And I went through, and I've got a long list somewhere that I've rereading the comics of all the characters that appeared that I'd kind of like to make some customs of. He was one of them. He's called Nightmare. I think it was in the story Tracker, was it?
I think so, yeah.
On that, yeah. But yeah, he was essentially tracking Wheels and Quarrel through the desert, I think it was, over the course of a number of weeks. And luckily, the head that was released that I was able to get is a pretty close match, so that kind of made it, really, I suppose.
Yeah, that's a cool looking mug for just about any custom, I reckon. But it looks really great here. Looks like a perfect figure for the SWC. Yeah, it really does. Keep on collecting links here. Chat Champion Classified is throwing in all the awesome links, so do hit any of these if you haven't already. I can't imagine why you haven't. We used to get the Eagle and Action Battle comics. Nice, right on. Yeah, this guy's cool. I like him. I like him a lot. Now, this shot's pretty damn cool, too.
This was it last year on holiday, I think. Again, we didn't have a car until last year. So we used to go on holiday on public transport, on the train or the bus or the coach. So I was always limited in what I could take away with me. And that was my pile for that year. But we've got a car now. So hopefully, Olwen, if you're listening still, we've got loads more room for holidays now this year when we go to Cornwall. Or going in there, maybe. But yeah, it's the standard SAS Panther with custom, I think that's Big Ben, I think next to the Jeep. It's just pretty much a straight Big Ben repaint of the Arctic figure, along with a couple of SAS Para, or my attempts at some SAS Para guys.
Right.
The trailer is a custom 3D print. So it's got original wheels on it, but everything else is a print on there, obviously, apart from the boat patrol things, because quite like the idea of trailers to put things on display on the shelves, because the shelves can look a bit odd with boats just sat there on them. So it's quite nice to have a trailer to put them on. It makes it look a little bit more lifelike, I guess, maybe, if that's the right way of putting it. But also, you know, quite cool for photography and pictures and stuff.
So I'm fairly ignorant when it comes to what is and isn't official Action Force. And when I was looking at this one, I could not for the life of me figure out what was a custom and what was official. And I guess I hope you take that as a compliment.
No, yeah, thank you. It's very kind.
Like I figured that the Stinger was probably Action Force, but the trailer looks so appropriate that I wouldn't have been surprised if it wasn't official.
Thank you. I'm working on one for the kayaks next, but that's a little bit more tricky. So hopefully I can get that sorted soon. Maybe for the holiday.
I mean, I would never take toys on holiday with me and then send photographs of them to my buddy in Australia. That would never happen.
I think I'm gonna have to take one of these with me over to Joe Fest and have him sitting in my pocket with Sergeant Slaughter. So I do want to say, I meant to say this earlier, but what I like about this guy is that he would also fit in really well in a cantina, Star Wars cantina display.
Yes.
Right. And I'm sure there's probably hundreds of people that already do that. Right. I know that's not original, or even a Star Trek display. This guy is very Star Trek, very Star Wars. But I love him. I think he's great.
I think the red swimsuit just kind of sets it off for me. He's got just kind of, he just puts his costume on and he's ready to fight.
It's just got a little dagger there. Don't worry about that. It's just a little dagger. Yeah. So how cool is this?
So yeah,
sorry. Is that the SES patrol boat?
It is, yes, yeah. So the trailer fits one on each side, kind of slanted against some supports in the middle. So. And there's a little stowage space in the middle for the guns and the motor, the outboards and stuff. So.
If there was a picture of that coming out, it didn't load for me unless it shows up later. But that's all I've got on this, on the outside slide. So now we're going inside. Unfortunately, we're going inside now. But thanks for taking us outside to play with toys for a while.
That just reminds me of obviously Matt and I have had dealings previously, and on his business card here, on
Solo.
the back, okay, there's his business card there with his various links. If you want to have a quick look at the links, and
your internet is so bad that I can't read any of that.
here we have Black Major and one of the Red Shadows. They're actually defrosting Kraken from the ice block, which is straight out of the comic books. But look at this fantastic shot on the back. You know, it's like, nothing is wasted on this card. This is a good use. This is very economical. It's got this fantastic shot on the back. Zoom that in a little bit for you. Of these two guys.
Yeah, nice.
In the sea.
That was a lovely Skegness sea there. They were having a frolic around it.
So keep on collecting, who I expect is also Matt. Is asking, can I explain the green lizard figure? Can I explain it? No, I can't explain it. The two best people to explain it are above me. But as Matt from Kraken Kreations is our guest, I'll let Matt explain to us who this guy is. If you could take it away for us, please, Matt.
He was he's an original release, so not a custom. Although there's lots of people who have customized different versions of him. He was originally available as a mail away, so with like Star Wars figures that I guess you might be familiar with, kind of thing. You would get slow media tokens, and on different card backs there were different mail aways. So there was one for a commander figure, and there was another one for the Kraken. So you could send away for him, and if you had enough points and you were lucky enough and they didn't run out, you got him in the post in a little cardboard box. And he's awesome. And then he did get a release on card later down the line. There were a couple of card variants of him. But he's awesome. He's one of my favorite figures. He's brilliant.
He's very cool. You can't just have one or two. You have to have many Krakens. Just like me on a Friday night. Many Krakens. Oh, Action Pop Dad. Hello, you lot.
Such a versatile figure. Obviously, he's a sea creature, so he could go up against Q-Force. But like you say, he also looks like something from Star Trek, so a perfect foil for Space Force. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, they were used as one of the early sort of army builders. So there you've got him going up against Z Force or SAS Force. So it's very, very clever. You know, the way that's one of the cool things about the original Action Force was that if you were into like the serious military hardware and stuff like that, you were really into like the real world aspects of military. You had the SAS Force, which is based on SAS in real life, and you've got Z Force, based around the army. If you were into more fantastical adventures, you've got Q Force and Space Force. But of course, the perfect thing about Action Force is that it brought them all together in this cool sort of melting pot of awesome action.
Yeah.
If I pontificated enough, I don't know if I got my point across.
I get it. We'll say a quick hello to WJ, and here's another new name. Luke Weaver Art is saying Space Commander is really Glenn Danzig. You're gonna have to explain that to me.
Oh, mother! It's a heavy metal singer.
I knew that. I'm not that old, or I'm not old enough. Which one is it? Which way does it go for Glenn Danzig? But if you're new here, do consider hitting subscribe. Please do hit that like button. It really helps me a lot. And don't forget to subscribe to Kraken Kreations too. So now we're going inside to check out. Did we answer adequately for Keep on Collecting? He says thank you. Good. I'm glad. WJ also wanted a Kraken. Yeah, they're cool. Oh, here's a question for you, Matt. You haven't had any swept away at sea, have you?
The picture you were just showing there, I think, was when was a bigger wave than expected came in. And I think it was one of the Trident gun that he has, or a net, I can't quite remember, or maybe the figure. And Olwyn, my other half, she leapt into the water and grabbed it. So I think that was the worst disaster.
Oh, that's love, that is. That's love.
Yeah. Good on ya. Well done. Smash that like, please, everyone. Yes, please. All right, so now we're going inside to look at some more action figure goodness. And check out this beauty.
So he's just another one on my journey. I can't remember. I think maybe if I imagined him as Quickfire or just a general SAS commando. But again, just an original Palatoy head on I think it's a Firefly body, if I remember. Again, Cobra officer crotch, and maybe they're Recondo legs or Flint or Footloose legs. They're usually my go-tos. They used to be the fairly cheap ones to pick up, and you could grab them.
Used to be, yeah.
Or maybe that, maybe a Hunter crotch actually, because I think they're Hunter arms. Yeah, so I know that sounds crazy now, but Hunter, who was the jointed SAS figure that came with the Wolverine and the original line. Beaters of those used to be fairly cheap at toy fairs and roll calls, so you could often pick them up for maybe £5-6 quid, but now they're going for maybe 10 times that for a beta figure, which
nothing's cheap anymore. So was it the Atlantic Ocean? EdFive would like to know. EdFive standing by
the North Sea, so quite cold.
We've got a lot of great channels tuning in today, and I really do appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much. Action Pop Dad says, I still want to cry knowing my mum binned a cardboard box full of Action Force figures and vehicles. Oof. I defo won't let this impact any decisions I may have to make on her care home in the future. Mate, we fully understand. Whatever happens, happens, mate. Oh, we got show and tell again from Space Commanders. Whoop.
Yeah.
There's Hunter there down the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
So his arms are really useful for customs because you don't have to paint anything. You don't have to worry about elbow wear, which is a pain if you try to paint the elbow and not wear away. So they were really, really useful for custom figures.
Looks like the same waist piece too.
Yes.
Difficult to tell with Space Commander's awesome, was that 8-bit?
Yeah.
Oh, I removed him entirely from the stream. Sorry, mate.
To make them run in the wheel, which powers the dynamo, which keeps the space station running. So Space Commander's got a
Commodore 64 that we're hoping to dust off so I can play my wrestling game. I own a Commodore 64 game, but no Commodore 64.
Whereas I've got a Commodore 64, but I don't have that game. So
yeah, I'm coming over to play.
What was the game you wanted to play again?
It was Sergeant Slaughter's Mat Wars.
Yeah.
Now, this guy, again, now, I had an inkling, right? I was looking at this guy, and I had an inkling that this wasn't official Action Force. But I was like, again, would not be surprised if it was Action Force.
Yeah, he's my ARAH style custom Z-Force commander. So again, kind of traditional thing. Use the original head. That's a Steeler torso. I think
Steeler.
Yeah, I think those Steeler arms as well, because they're already green, although just not quite the right shade of green to match the Palatoy 5-point of articulation figures. It's a little bit lighter on the jointed ones. So a bit of a wash of that on those. I think that's Crimson Guard crotch or one of the later TRU, Toys R Us, Shadow releases. And probably familiar, same again, Flint or Footloose legs.
Yeah, it looks like Flint's legs for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if that was Flint's crotch as well. I'm trying to remember because Super Cop has a similar belt buckle and he reuses Flint's.
I think it's got that little crotch thing on there, so I think it's a Crimson Guard one. If I'm seeing it, I can't remember.
Well, I mean, I don't know. What do I know? I don't know.
Sorry.
But this guy, So it looks cool though. This guy, but then this guy, I thought he looked a little Aussie. I thought he looked like an Australian.
Yeah, he is. I've lost his hat down the back of the cabinet, the display thing the other day, which was brilliant. Ridiculously expensive to buy now, so I'm gonna have to find that before I hoover it up accidentally. But yeah, he was just a custom figure. He wasn't based on anything. I don't think he might resemble. I don't think he resembles anybody for the comics. I just had one of those hats spare, and quite like the idea of doing a bit of an Aussie jungle fighter type guy. Just getting a Palatoy head and putting a beard on him, and having a little go.
Yeah, it looks great.
Is the beard sculpted or was it just paint?
No, it's just painted on. So there are some kind of sculpts in the hair, but a lot of it is painted on the original figures. So yeah, it was just painted on. It looks
for just paintwork. That's amazing. It looks almost sculpted, but as you say, it's just paint. But paint done expertly, unlike my efforts.
Don't be so hard on yourself. So Matt from Keep On Collecting bailed on us for 20 seconds to go watch one of your vids. So that's dedication there.
Thank you,
Kraken. Yeah, good on you, mate. We don't get too pedantic here. It's fine. You can leave and come back as much as you like. We're not going to be offended.
I was determined to get Zazel, an Australian jungle fighter, for our little project we're working on, and but it's so hard to find all the pieces. So I think I sent him the figure first.
Yeah.
And then, a few months later, I found the hat, so I sent the hat to him. So just got to keep a lookout for the Tommy gun and the machete, and we might have a complete figure eventually.
Those blue Tommy guns and the machete are ridiculously expensive now. But yeah, that's the way it goes, isn't it?
So Classified's also thrown in your Etsy store, and your up a little bit further up was your eBay store. So you do sell some custom stuff?
I do. It's mainly reproduction parts. So I know not a lot of people are, or some people aren't always fans of that. But I do use them myself, and some things are just impossible to find. But equally, I make brand new custom parts as well. So things like the battle tank on the Z-Force and the US release didn't have a hatch. You would just put the guy in there. But I designed, and there it is. Hello. I designed and printed a little hatch that opens up, that sits in the turret there. So the hatches open either side, and the guy can sit in, or the hatch can close if you haven't got a figure to sit in there and that kind of thing. So it's not. This is
actually one of your machine guns on here.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Nice.
Yeah, that's one of the pieces which is famous for going walkabout.
Yeah.
But I knew my man would have it covered, so there we go.
Nice. Well, we're pro repro. We are pro repro, and I'll tell you why. Because one day we might need a new hip or something else replaced, and I can't be too pedantic about that either. But yeah, we're all about it. We don't care. Plastic is plastic. Who cares? Yeah, that's right. They're always good. Complete as you need. Yeah. Whatever you need to do. Whatever you need to do. If you want to spend $1 million to get the real thing, you go nuts.
Yeah, that's the thing. I budget shouldn't be an issue in terms of making your display look as nice as you want it to. Is kind of my thought on it, I suppose.
So who we're looking at here? This looks a little bit like a Star Wars and a G.I. Joe.
Is Wheels. So he looks a little bit muscular compared to the original. Looks like he's been in the gym. But yeah, just my take on Wheels, who was the Z-Force Jeep driver. There he is. Although, I did do the pockets red. Yeah, the pockets are red to match, so that's okay. A lot of the time for the Z-Force guys, because of that kind of elbow paint where I talk about, sometimes I'll use short sleeves on them, so you can avoid that and just paint the shoulders, which are generally a bit less problematic.
Right.
For paintwear, because I like obviously to put them on the shelf, but then also if I do go on holiday and take them to the sea or wherever I go, it's nice to be able to pose them and not have to worry about all the paint chipping off and that kind of thing.
So, sorry, what kind of paint do you use?
Humbrol paint, which long established UK brand. I guess you can get it in most places in the world. It's an enamel paint. It's really nice to work with. It takes a long time to dry, but it kind of self-levels. You don't have to worry about brush marks as much as you do maybe with some acrylic paints.
Right.
And it's just a really good, nice color range, and they mix well as well. So, yeah, it's quite cool.
Do you have to varnish afterwards, or is it just once the paint's on, it's on?
No, I do put satin coat over the top, which kind of generally, depending on what you're painting, whether it's gloss or matte underneath there, generally kind of gives you a close enough match to the original figures in terms of they're not super shiny, but they're not too matte, kind of halfway house there, really, I suppose. Like some
cool. Learning all new things.
Yeah.
Who's this?
Is Red Sultan.
Okay, he looks cool.
Thank you. He appeared in Red Jackal's, I think it was the backstory in Battle Action Force. So he was a Red Shadow operative in there. He's pretty similar to his appearance in the comic, but he's kind of a little bit more ready for action, I suppose, compared to him in the comic. But it's retro Indiana Jones Solar, if that's how you pronounce it, sorry, head. I dremeled out a little hole, did some trepanning on his skull to put an actual fez piece in there, so he's got a little tassel on the back, and give him a little bit of a skin tone wash to make him a little bit more Egyptian. And then it's a Cobra Stinger Driver torso, red laser arms, so I didn't have to paint them, being lazy, and some of the usual legs and crotch combo there, I think, with a Cobra officer or a hunter crotch and footloose legs maybe or something, and then a 3D.
Well, it looks great. We'll just say goodbye. We'll just say goodbye to Classified real quick. She's heading off to bed. If we can give in the chat, if everyone can throw up a thumbs up for Classified, she does some hard work for us by throwing in the chats to everyone, throwing in the chat everyone's link. So yeah, everyone give her a fond farewell. Well, a thumbs up or a wave is fine too. Bye.
Thank you.
Goodbye. All the thumbs up.
Classy. Like I always say, handshake for gentlemen, kisses for the ladies.
Nice. I don't know why Johnny's throwing his pants in on the mix, but well done. Thumbs up. Well done. So thanks again, Chat Champion Classified. I appreciate it. Always doing hard work, throwing in all of those links, which you can still find for Kraken Kreations. The links are in the description of this video as well. But yeah, thanks, Chat Champion. Mucho apreciado. Oh yeah, but this guy looks great. So where did you get the head from this one from?
It's a retro Indiana Jones
Right.
figure release. So one of the new releases. I don't know if he came out in that style originally. I think it might be a brand new figure. I can't remember if he got a release in the 80s or not, but I just saw it and it kind of screamed Red Sultan to me.
The 80s is when people knew how to make a good Indiana Jones film. So.
Before they ruined it.
Before they ruined it.
Well, that one looks great too. And this is a wowee. I looked at this one. I was like, yeah, this is brilliant. I knew because I'm vaguely familiar with the original character because Space Commander and I have had a look at this guy before, although I can't remember off the top of my head what his name was. But I looked at this. I was like, yep, this is brilliant.
Skeletron.
Yeah, this was Skeletron, and I thought that this guy was great, and I could tell that this version of Skeletron was a custom because I was familiar with Ace as a G.I. Joe, but I thought that this guy looked brilliant. So talk us through. Oh yeah, okay. So let for comparison. Whoop. That's the original. He is bloody awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as bendy figures are concerned, this is a great custom to do. So talk us through this guy and what your thought process was.
So Skeletron was another mail away guy for Palatoy. He didn't get a carded release like the Kraken, so you could only get him through the post. He didn't get a file card officially, although Bob Reekin has got like a little bio story on one of his pictures that he shares at conventions and things. And I don't know which side of the fence you were on, Space Commander, I think this one used to get quite debated quite a lot on Blood for the Baron about whether he was an army builder or whether he was some kind of master battlefield tactician, that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, because we only ever had the one when we were kids. This is actually my older brother's one. He doesn't know I've got it. We only had the one, so we just treated him as like an individual character. But yeah, I can see how that would, if you imagine in production line fashion, like Terminator before they ruined it, you can imagine these coming off the production line and forming a little army. So yeah, either way, it's a single character like we had it, or a big platoon. I think it works either way.
Yeah, I quite like the idea of him just as a single character.
Because he was the pilot originally, wasn't he? He was going to be the original pilot of the Robo Skull.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, before they wanted him for the Melee figure. But yeah, just an original head. I quite like the Ace torso without the helmet. Kind of looks a little bit spacey, like it's got some kind of life support in there for him, kind of something going on. I don't know, but looks quite futuristic, I think, on its own. And then everything else is pretty much Ace. Had some yellowed arms and legs that fit quite nicely with the figure. Yeah, there you go.
Excuse my pun, but this guy does look Ace.
Thank you. And then I gave him a four-arm gun, I think, which kind of had a release within Action Force with some of the German stuff.
I was just going to say that was my first ever Star Wars anything. Not just my first figure, but my first anything Star Wars was Four-arm. They switched the name with Zuckers eventually, but yeah, it was Four-arm. Yeah. And I loved that figure, and I loved those films before they ruined them. But
yeah, well, quick shout out to Silicious Rum, who's in there name. shouting out. Look at this filth. Oh, sorry, he means keep on collecting. Never mind. Yeah, good stuff. But moving on to the next one. Now, is this a custom?
It is, yes. It is a Panther respade for Special Weapons Force. So this was, rather than it being one of my own ideas, there was originally a plan for this to be a release as part of Special Weapons Force. So having seen the prototype or unreleased pictures, that was kind of one of my first ones I did. So it was just a simple SAS Panther resprayed. They come apart quite nicely, so it's fairly easy just to take everything apart and put it under a few rattle cans.
Well, yeah, it looks brilliant. Looks even better from behind. That's what she said. That'll get me a strike.
But yeah, just some custom transfers and some metal cans in white and grey, and yeah, it looks quite close to the original unproduced thing.
Yeah, no, it does look. It looks brilliant. Did you create the transfers yourself, or are they able to order them from somewhere?
No, they created. I do them myself. Blood for the Baron had lots of logos and things on there, so it's just a case of just cutting those down and shaping them and putting a bit of background in to try and match what you're looking for. And then I just print on water slide transfer paper on my inkjet laser printer. Sorry, so dead simple, just like you're putting an Airfix kit together with the transfers.
Do you sell those on eBay?
I don't. No. There are a few people out there who do them nicer job than me on with where they can print white and things like that, so you don't have to. So they do a much better job.
Yeah, I'd rather not have to do anything myself. So anyone that can print it for me, brilliant. And this is the same guy we looked at before, right?
Yes, yeah, he's just inside with the Jeep.
It looks great with the Jeep too, and those rolled up blueprints.
You say it's dead easy, but as I always say to Adam from GoFigure when he's showing us his creations, to me this stuff is like alchemy. It's like
I can't cut a straight line if it's dotted for me. I just can't. I don't know what it is, but I just will not be able to.
So while I hopefully Alwyn's still listening, my other half, where we're looking at the detailed things and paint, she will help me out with those. So she is my partner in crime in terms of customs and painting. So she does
nice.
Help an awful lot. That's quite nice. When when I bug her and she's not doing her own artwork and things like that, hopefully, she has some time to give me some help.
There you go. Silicious Rum says that they've brought a custom Palatoy Action Force Baron Ironblood shelf display from the Kraken Kreations. There you go.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And TJC says, I can never say it just normally. It's always TJC. Just thinking of how many Action Force stickers you used to get free with the comics and wish I'd saved them.
Yeah, you used to get some great stickers. And one of the, I think the genius ideas was when there was the transition from Red Shadows to Cobra in Series 3. They had a sticker sheet on the comics where essentially you could Cobrafy your existing fleet of Red Shadow vehicles. So you could put some Cobra logos on your Shadow Track or your Hyena and that kind of thing. That was a brilliant idea, I thought.
Yeah, it looks and look, your partner in crime is happy to help. Beautiful.
Does Olin have an Etsy page or anything like that?
She does. I don't know if she is has a lot of listings on there. I know she does. She sells cards and coasters and things. I was at a craft fair with her yesterday. With her first one, so she was a little bit nervous there, but she did really well. So she has her own little hobbies that we both hide ourselves away from time to time.
by all means, Owen, put that in the chat. We'll get some sales your way.
Thank you.
So a Gap After Dark has shown up. It's probably not even after dark where they are. It's probably early morning. Saying hello to me, Space Commander Kraken, and all that G.I. Joe sausage up there. It's got in blue.
Up where?
Yep, there. Anyway. Now, I couldn't figure out what, if any of this was a custom. So what's happening here?
That, again, my kind of liking for trailers for display. I can't take full credit for that one because there is a guy... the model for the trailer itself, Stinger and the Night Landing are original things. Right. The trailer is the 3D printed part. There's a guy on Thingiverse. I'm not sure who he is, so apologies for that. He came up with one design for it, which I loved printed, but it had a few issues for me in the way I was printing it. Not necessarily I'm saying it was his fault, sorry. Just our different types of printers. I think mine might be resin. Mine is resin, but he might be printing on FDM. So I kind of redid it a little bit with the side bits on there, the side storage units, and I used a different wheel. So I made a few changes to it. But yeah, essentially the trailer itself is the 3D printed part with the wheels. They're all 3D printed. It was
this looks all official to me. Looks all official.
Thank you.
Yeah, getting
Yeah,
that wheel
speaking
to
of-
match the wheels on the Jeep. That really sets it off nicely.
Yeah, one of
what I
my
mean.
friends, John Hall, has been after me to get a match for that for so long. So I don't think he's listening, but yeah, apologies to John. But I sorted it now, so I can make him some wheels for his stuff now.
So this next picture, you cannot tell me any of this is custom. This is definitely an Action Force official release. All right, I will not believe otherwise. All right, this here, definitely
wow.
Action Force.
So that, I think there was loads of us who's done customs with that. That's a chap, if that's how you pronounce it, sorry, Chinook, that was released in various kind of Soldier Force and Dino Hunter kind of colorways. So they used to be really, really plentiful in the UK, and you could get them for like £15-20 or cheaper on eBay secondhand. So yeah, it is simply that taken apart, sprayed black with some custom decals on it, and then I just, as well as that, I swapped out the wheels. So the wheels are official Palatoy rubber type ones, so they looked a bit more.
Ah, nice.
Than the original.
Can only just make out one of the tires here.
Yeah, they were a little kind of very, very thin, so I managed to squeeze the Palatoy wheels in there, which made it probably look a little bit more official.
This looks cool too.
And look,
So there's enough room in there for this SAS Jeep to roll out the back.
I don't think it goes all the way in. I think it gets a bit narrow when you get to the windows. So that's why I probably had it where it was. I think it just looks like it fits a little bit. Definitely
Good
the
for
driver,
photography.
unless he's climbing out of the roll bar at the top.
EdFive's super into it. Like maybe a little bit too into it. All right, now come on. There's nothing here that is custom. Surely this is all official release stuff.
The figures are all official release. The six-wheelers are made by Corpse, or Lannard Corpse line, which again used to be really, really plentiful in the UK, but they've slowed down their releases now and they're a little bit more difficult to find. But it's a simple repaint, really, I suppose. It kind of looks very, very similar to the vehicle they had in the Marvel comics. So I just managed to pick up a couple of those, sprayed them a bit more of a kind of an army green, I suppose, and 3D printed a few accessories like some aerials for it and some of the stowage that you can see maybe on the side, a little black stowage on the front as well. So they're 3D prints, and then some custom decals. So that was another kind of fairly simple one. Apart
Payne's
from the
Toy Samples. Payne's Toy Samples is here. Hello. Definitely check out Payne's Toy Samples channel. He's doing some tremendous stuff over there.
Hello.
Tremendous stuff. I try to catch it whenever I can, and it's well worth watching. So EdFive saying we still get core sets down here. We do. They're not as cool as they used to be, though. Remember the big wheel? Oh, I loved that thing. Phil's getting into it too. He's saying it's centerfold stuff. You guys, and keep it down, you guys. All right, now we're getting into bad guy territory.
Wow.
Payne, I mean that sincerely, by the way. Sincerely doing some great stuff with your channel. Please do keep it up. You're doing good work over there, mate. Check out this bad boy.
So that is it. The Iron Panther from the Sergeant Savage line, I think it is. So the top half, where you've got the turret and the hull, is that. I think it's the Iron Panther, and then the bottom half, because the original was quite small to the ground and kind of very, very low. One of the Corpse Rhino missile kind of launcher sets that had movable tracked, motorized tracks on there. Again, used to be able to get them really, really cheaply and easily in the UK, but they've dried up now and they're quite expensive. I took the bottom off that one and just took the tracks out and kind of married the two together, so it looks a bit beefier and a bit more substantial. A bit meat.
And you got that sneaky skull and crossbones down below there for when they run over people. The final thing they see is a skull and
You can see what
crossbones.
kills you.
Yeah, but this looks fantastic. And I know that it's not color coordinated specifically for Kraken, but damn, if this color combination doesn't work for you, there's something wrong with you. It's bloody good stuff. Speaking of bloody good stuff, here's my good friend Joe Recondo. Good morning, fine people. Hello, Joe Recondo. Good to see you, bud.
Joe?
Yo, Joe Recondo. We do get another good look at this tank from another angle. Oh, beauty.
Look at that cannon.
Look at it. Look at that thing. So this was on display as well, right? At the Palatoy event.
It was, yeah. There were 2 cabinets for custom and kind of a mixture of custom and modern Action Force, and kind of where that takes us, obviously. So there was, the Valorverse Action Force releases in there with the Tony Manlock Toys figure, and there was some of the convention stuff that were released, and some of the Blood for the Baron releases with his Skeletron type bat and the Baron figure, and then myself and David Gillis, who is an awesome customizer, an awesome individual, and kind of brought some customs along. So that was one of the ones I put along, and David brought some amazing customs of his own that are kind of more firmly rooted in 5-point of articulation in terms of figures, than kind of where I've got the ARAH built route.
So Phil's saying "G'day, Joe," and that's how the Aussie GI Joes go into battle. They don't cry out "Yo, Joe." They go "G'day, Joe." That's pretty funny coming from a Kiwi too. So good on you. And then, what is this bad boy? So
obviously, original Roboskull behind him. But it was my take on Red Wolf in like that bendy figure style. Sorry, I should start calling that. It's so much easier than
right. That's what I've started doing. They're just bendy figures now.
Bendy style.
That's just what we called them when we were little kids. We just called them the bendy figures.
And when he was in the comic, I think there was maybe one panel that I remember. Maybe there might have been more. Sorry, where you actually saw Red Wolf underneath his helmet. So I really, really wanted to be able to take his helmet off. Oh, there you go. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And show the guy underneath, I suppose. So while the custom figure is mine, the actual helmet itself, I'm so sorry, I can't remember the guy's name, but he's casts parts and sells those cast parts on his website. And I managed to pick up a couple of customs. One I ruined along the way, and that was my own fault. But the other one I managed to save, and yeah, it kind of fitted nicely over the His Driver torso.
It looks like an upscaled mask helmet.
Yes. Yeah. I quite like that kind of. I love mask figures, but I don't have any space to collect them, unfortunately.
But yeah, this is a brilliant custom, and I think, if I'm not wrong, was also on display with your figures. I've definitely seen it somewhere before.
Yes, he was. Yeah, he was a recent one at that time, so I took him along for the fun of the exhibition.
Was it you or was it David who admitted to having painted a Roboskull blue?
That was me.
That's the story.
Tell us about that.
One of my first custom things, obviously, I was a kid and Cobra was coming in and taking over where Red Shadows were all murdered by Baron Ironblood, I suppose, in the comic continuity.
Right.
So, yeah, everything was going blue along with Cobra, and Roboskulls was still appearing in the comic. So I thought, a kind of reverse of what I do now. I just thought I'd get some home roll paint out and paint my Roboskull blue so it could be a Cobra Roboskull. And it was awful.
It didn't work? You don't still have it?
No. I was 9 or 8 or however old I was, and it was some really, really shiny, glossy paint, and I had no patience for it whatsoever. So I was just daubing it on with a big brush, trying to get it done, and yeah, it looked terrible.
Well, you've perfected it since. I'll give you that. Now, is this just your display? Surely none of this is unofficial.
The figure is the standard Palatoy release, and then the Outpost. Is it the Outpost Defender? It is, I think. Is the Hasbro release customized? So sprayed green for the sandbags, and
I'll give it one of these
for the other bit. So.
It looks appropriately Action Force. I thought this was just a official release. That's what I mean. Like some of this, I was like, this couldn't possibly be a custom stuff. But you do so great a job at this stuff that it confuses me, and I'm easily confused. But don't take that the wrong way. What are we looking at? What are we looking at here, Space Commander?
This is one of the Palatoy guns.
Right.
So as Matt was saying, the base there is the Hasbro one, but just simple things like adding a Palatoy gun there, color matched, of course. It just shows you how well the two toy lines integrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. Right.
I think they were just some 3D printed like guards, deflectors or whatever they're called, just to stop him or try and help him not get shot by the bad guys.
Hello to Uncanny Swag who's dropped in. How are you, buddy? So I think this is the last photo that I was able to get that isn't some sort of 3D render of something. So I'm sure you know what I'm going to lead into next. But what are we looking at here?
That's one of my ARAH bendy figure. I need to stop saying it. Sorry. Bendy figure versions of Breaker, the radio operator for Action Force Z Force, and then some Chatmai spotlights just taken apart, sprayed, and recolored. And I think those that's why I quite like those Chatmai things. There's an awful lot of diorama pieces that do a lot of cases and stowage units and things like that, or the things like the spotlights.
Looks brilliant.
LEDs in there too, so they actually light up maybe at some point. That would be quite cool.
The Action Force backpacks I think are great too because they have the straps or the web gear, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
So Gazz has made a good point. If you can smash that like button, because every like that we get recharges the batteries on Spacey's space station. He needs all the battery power he can get. There's only so many space gerbils that can run in that ball. All right, so we're moving on to now. I want to preface this by saying that I don't know what I'm looking at when I bring these pictures up. When I saw them, I was like, I have no idea what this is, but I need to know what this is. So tell me, please, for the love of all things that are holy, what is this?
I should have sent a picture of the thing it's hopefully going to be. So as part of Space Force, when Palatoy were obviously coming up with ideas and suggestions and things, maybe Space Commander's got a picture somewhere. I don't know. It looks like he's going to get some.
He's on it.
But one of the ideas was, and they did a mock-up of it. Obviously, that was an early mock-up. There was a Space Force troop transporter. So, and I think there was also some kind of early versions of the figures. There was a female, maybe a pilot or something for it. I don't know, but there was a female character in there as well, and an early version of Kiwi. So this, I've probably been procrastinating on this about 2 years, ever since I first got my nice printer. But it's basically hopefully going to be a 3D print of that troop transport.
Talk slower, I'm still looking.
Sorry.
We're still getting more things. We're still looking.
So the three pods that you can see there are the middle section. Obviously, at the front, it has like a cockpit section, and the back, some engines, and there'll be some landing gear underneath. Where I've taken a bit of the license is that I've made it a little bit larger than it would have been on the mock-up, but obviously the mock-up would have gone through some changes. But I quite like the idea of being able to fit two characters, two space security troopers in there side by side, stood up, ready to jump into action. There we go.
Whoop. Oh, I see. Okay. Hey, I like it.
So whereas that one, I think maybe having a rough guess of the size of it, looks like it probably would have had one person sitting in each of the pods. I quite liked it to be more of like that kind of figure storage unit like the ATC is or something, where you can fit a couple of guys in there stood up ready to jump off and bring Space Commander some supplies or protect him from the Red Shadow hordes maybe or something.
Yeah, that looks cool.
So yeah, I like I say, I've been procrastinating with it for ages. That's some recent work I did maybe a couple of months ago, and I just need to be able to do the cockpit next and the engines at the back, which the engines at the back are just going to be completely mainly guesswork because you can't really see a lot of the detail there, but I'll probably take some inspiration from the Cosmic Cruiser or something like that.
I like that you've come up with a rudimentary design for the Space Force characters as well.
I've actually got. This is where my one of that character has been this week. He's been he is in the orange and grey spacesuit.
Yeah,
he's currently riding around in this mechanical beast.
I love that thing. I love the story behind it too. How it can fit 3 different scales of action figures in it.
Yep, you can fit sort of a He-Man figure here.
Yeah,
smaller guys at the front. Pretty cool.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I said. Peter Gabriel loves a good steam pod. Hey, I've noticed in the chat today it's been very interactive, and I'm super proud of everyone going and subbing up all of these brilliant channels. I hope everyone's also been subbing to Kraken Kreations and checking out his channel. If you're new here, do please consider hitting that subscribe button. I'd super appreciate that. Or at least just throw a like on it. A dislike would hurt my feelings, but I understand. It's fine. But yeah, I like that. I've seen everyone jumping in the chat saying subbed. Matt's gone and watched a couple of videos in the meantime while we're live. Good on you. Space Force gets the coolest stuff. Yeah, and the coolest of all is Space Commander, in my opinion.
Oh,
and I'm not just saying that because I'm a cadet now.
Thanks, buddy.
So what have we got coming up into the future, Matt?
Hopefully the Space Force troop transport will be finished. I mentioned Rollout Roll Call, which is a show in the UK that I try and go to. I do go to every year. If there is one in November, hopefully I'll have it ready for that. If I can show it off there, if that's okay with Dave. Hopefully I'll have the female space pilot there as well from that unproduced stuff. She'll be 5 point of articulation. And then the next figure I'm going to release, I've done the Red Shadow Officer and the Mamba Man figures so far, which are these guys. You might have seen them.
Very cool.
So hopefully a Red Wolf in the same vein, but with a removable helmet. And then try and maybe sort out the attic room and get that finished after 2 years of messing around with it.
Now, what are the odds of trying to get a custom 5 point articulation Sergeant Slaughter action figure?
Ooh.
How hard or easy would that be? Because I would really like one to fit in with the rest of my Action Force stuff.
This is kind of the reverse, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah.
What I do is it's going backwards. I'm going to think on that, and I'm going to. Were you thinking the original release with the vest rather than the version 2 or something?
Well, I wouldn't want to stifle any of your creativity. If you had an idea that might work for how Sarge could have been, let's say hypothetically, right? Instead of Sarge going to G.I. Joe and becoming a bendy figure, what if Sarge came to Palitoy and they released him in some form or fashion? How do you think Palitoy would have done it?
See, if it was Palitoy, we would have probably had a Big Daddy or Kendo Nagasaki figure, or Giant Haystacks maybe. To anyone, sorry, if no one makes any sense of that who's outside the UK.
Proper old school British wrestlers.
Knowing my audience.
So Sergeant Slammer. How are we doing, Sergeant Slammer?
I'm going to think on that because arms would be super easy. Legs would be fairly straightforward. It's just that torso and the head. I'm going to think about this. I've got the bank holiday to ponder over that and see how that might work out.
Well, don't let me. I don't want to be the guy that ruins your weekend. So if you do come up with something, even if it's just an idea of something, I would love to hear it.
I'm going to think about that. Thank you.
So
you mentioned
Gazz
just now, Zazel, you mentioned that Sergeant Slammer, which was the
Yeah.
UK version of Sergeant Slammer. But in prep for today's episode, I was going through some stuff, and I found this wonderful box of paperwork and things that Dave sent me. That Matt sent me a while back, and that includes this here. It's in Dutch, and here he's referred to as Sergeant Driller. So I think maybe Sergeant Driller is a prime candidate for the special project.
Is that a form to be able to mail in for a Marauders version of Sergeant Slaughter? Because if that is, I've never seen that on offer before.
I'm not sure.
There's a handshake.
It is the Marauders Sarge, yeah. If anyone in the chat can read Dutch, if you could let us know.
Mate, I can't even make out the letters. If you send me a photo, I'll Google Translate it. Because I don't think I've ever seen that. But if that was a way to get Marauders Sarge as a mail away, that's pretty cool.
Also in this this cool box of bits from Matt back in the way back when.
Oh.
What? All right, solo again.
There we go. This is actually on Matt's your YouTube channel is Kraken Wakes, isn't it?
I think so. Yes, that shows how active I am. There, sorry, I'm not. I'm not as good as I planned on the whole YouTube thing. I had grand ideas.
I wanted the record to go because I had the 3 cassettes. I wanted the record to go along with it, and Matt, having already put it up on his YouTube channel, was kind enough to send me the record, which I'm very I feel touched touched by it. But there was also in the box with all these fantastic little bits of I
gotta keep your solo. You keep bringing out cool stuff. Whoop. Nice. I do want to remind people that we will have a competition going. If anyone's just tuning in, we have a competition going where if you could come up with a cassette tape graphic for 2 of Space Commander's cassette tapes, if we could just show up the one that's already done for 2 competitions to be won, 2 prizes to be won. So we want in that style, 2 images to go with the cassette tapes that don't have currently cassette tape sleeves for those 2. Operation Liberty and the other one.
Operation Shutdown.
Yeah.
It was Operation Liberty, wasn't it? That was appeared in the Battle Action Force Annual. I think was essentially the same story. So that might be an easy thing for someone to get some images together, I guess, of that one.
Yeah. Check out the annual. It's funny because it tells the same story in the comic book, but everything's worded slightly differently. So instead of saying, just hypothetically, the Fang helicopter flew over the jungle, the comic book might say that, but then the cassette would say, over the jungle, the Fang helicopter flew. So it's all the same.
That's when they say, don't copy the homework exactly.
Yeah.
So 2 prizes to be given away. The winner will be decided by Space Commander. Hit me up. I guess Instagram's probably the easiest way to do it. Instagram, Facebook, snail mail, email, Telegram up to the space station. However you want to do it, send us your entries, and Space Commander will pick 2 winners. So please, somebody send something, please. And we'll give away 2 prizes. What are they? I don't know, because we've just started this competition today. We didn't even know we were going to do it.
You just made it up on the spot.
MK would do a great tape cover.
Kaboom!
Yep. And tape audio. Are the tapes audio dramas?
Yes, after a fashion. The first one, Baron's Revenge, very much an audio drama. Operation Shutdown is also an audio drama, but part of side 2 is also, I think it was like a game, or it was an adventure game which you had to, as well as playing with the pieces, you had to listen to the tape. So you sort of get 1.5 sides of audio drama there, and then half a side of game. And then Operation Liberty was kind of it was kind of the story being read, but it was like embellished with sound effects and music and stuff like that.
Okay.
So you kind of got, yes, definitely audio drama. Yep, kind of an audio drama. Not an audio drama, but jazzed up nicely.
Right. It's jazz.
Yeah,
So
then
Matt, this might be directed at you, asking if your wife is well.
Yes, she's fine. Thank you. I think that was from our meetup at Leicester Vintage. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, you were there as well.
I was. I made an appearance. It was good to meet people there.
So did you get to meet Space Commander earlier, or did you just...
Yeah, we saw each other on the day. Yes, we met at the exhibition, didn't we? So,
because I know there was an earlier catch up, and then at the restaurant where there was a Jawa sitting there for some reason.
Yeah, it was nice actually. You walked in the shop, Mrs. Space Commander and I, and the first person in the shop, immediately I walked in, and immediately Matt stepped over and welcomed me up to the well, to me it's a very northern location, but I suppose if you're from the north it's not.
Right. What was the giveaway that it was Space Commander walking in?
Yeah, like a thing, I had trouble recognizing you again at the exhibition, wasn't it? It was sort of, who could this be?
Well, I want to say, Matt, we've come to the end of our broadcast, and I got to say you've been a tremendous guest. The amount of customization and display and everything that you have is honestly top tier stuff, or as Magnificent Kaboom would say, top shelf. And I agree, it's great stuff. So thanks for spending some time with us today on the space station.
No, thank you so much. It's been brilliant. Thank you. It's been very kind. And hopefully it's been interesting for people watching. But yeah, it's been amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you. Like
I said, the links are in the description, and today has been an absolute smorgasbord. Am I saying that right? Smorgasbord. It's been an absolute feast of subscriptions today. I can tell from the chat, and that makes me happy when people are saying things like, "Oh, I found your channel, subbed it," and that's great. That's brilliant. It's a community of good chat legends. And thanks again, and happy birthday again to David, who turned 40, sent a super sticker on his birthday. Thanks, buddy. You didn't have to do that, but I appreciate it. Hope you had a great birthday weekend, my friend. So, yeah, thank you to everybody. Space Commander, what are you going to be doing? Because I'll be gone. I'll be away. Are you going to be able to stream live without me?
Oh, I can barely get the computer set up without you. No, I'll be like everyone else. I'll be waiting with bated breath to see what reports we can get from you from Joe Fest. Yeah, I'd like to thank everyone for showing up today. It's always great to see our old friends come back and rejoin the fun. But we've had an awful lot of new people stop by today, and I hope you enjoyed the show. And if you did, hopefully you'll consider coming back for another episode, or all the fantastic things that Zazel has on his channel, all the classic clips of Sergeant Slaughter, but also Sarge has appeared on the show quite a few times and had a chat with us. Those episodes are great. We also have Slaughterhouse Wrestling Championship, the SWC. If you don't know what that is, just go check it out. You won't be disappointed.
Yeah. If you think you know what it is, you don't. Check it out.
And also my other cadet, Jace, TJC Jr.
Oh, yes.
Salute to Jace there.
Hello, Jace.
Hope you're enjoying the show.
Gardening again.
Yeah, don't get sunburnt out there.
You know what? I've had an idea.
What's that, mate?
Phil might be able to sub in for me for an incoming transmission while I'm away, and maybe I can stream in from Joe Fest maybe I can twist his arm because he's got access to my StreamYard. He might be able to put one together for us. I wonder. Cool. He can sub in as a cadet.
If anything technical goes wrong, though, you know he's not going to know how to fix it any more than I.
Yeah, that's all part of the fun. Unless he says no in the chat in the next 30 seconds, and I'm dobbing him in to be a fellow cadet. He'll be upgrading to cadet if he could do an incoming transmission while we're away. Because I don't know if you know, but I'll be at Joe Fest. I may or may not be there with a beard. That all depends on how the Savage race goes. Because I got to perform in something called a Savage race, which is an obstacle course of exceptional magnitude, and I am not prepared as much as I tried to be. Because you think when you're months away from something that you've got all the time in the world to prepare yourself, and then before you know it, it's days away, and you realize you had no chance. No chance. You can do it, Cadet Phil. Yeah, that's right. I think everybody here thinks that Phil can do it, and I think Phil can do it. He's got probably the worst internet than Space Commander does, but it'll be fun. And because I'll be with Gazz can join us live. There we go. I'll go hunting for a space hat. All right, he's in. We're doing it.
That'll be the longest show ever because his internet will be going. Will be slowed down. Mine will be. Do you remember those terrible delays and terrible lags we used to get? They'll come back. Between the two of us, we'll have like a 4-hour show, and that's just the introductions.
I looked back at one of the first Welcome to the Slaughterhouse, and it's just you with your face so close to the camera in a black background, and it's like you're stuck in someone's boot, like you've been kidnapped.
that was the first one. I was on my way. I was in my little space capsule, wasn't I? I was traveling up to the space station, hadn't arrived yet, and I was in the blackness of space.
Exactly. Kayfabe. All right, guys. We'll cut it there. I've got to think of what video we're going to play out with. So we've got options. We can do the Magnificent Kaboom outro, or we could do the funeral march song with the Sarge bit at the end.
Let's have something with Kraken. Have you got anything there we can use with the Kraken?
Well, I do have the Magnificent Kaboom cartoon with the Kraken. That's on it.
Yeah, cool.
All right, we'll do that. All right, so with that in mind, thank you, Matt, for joining us. I'll definitely be checking out your eBay store, and I'll be checking out your Etsy store, and I'll make sure to binge watch all your YouTube stuff too. But I'll throw in this excellent Magnificent Kaboom video. Hang out backstage and we'll say our goodbyes after the show if you don't mind, Matt. And for everyone in the chat, thank you. Goodbye. Full force.
Thank you.
Full force.
Yo, Joe. All right.
Space Commander. Space Commander. Space Commander. Space Commander. Space Commander. Space Commander. Space Commander, Space Commander, Space Commander.